My name is Donna. I was diagnosed at 11 with autism.
My name is Andrew Clausen. I was 26 years old when I was diagnosed with autism.
It took them 5 years to diagnose me, and my parents had to fight for the diagnosis.
My mom was adamant that it was autism, but they just dismissed it as it just not being autism.
We used to think that autism, someone could be more or less autistic than someone else, but that's not the case. Some areas that some people may do well in, others may struggle, and vice versa. So we now have the understanding that it definitely is a full spectrum.
Pretty much my whole life I was diagnosed with ADHD, but I'd gone through bipolar syndrome, I've gone through a bunch of different diagnoses, and we finally landed on ADHD for 10 to 12 years. It was a long time until finally about a year and a half ago, I finally got diagnosed with autism, and that's kind of what felt the right diagnosis. I think for me personally, it's hard to communicate with autism because my whole life I grew up not really knowing how to act, and so in social situations I feel like I have to mimic what the other person's doing, which depending on who I'm with can vary a lot. And so my mind's always just racing and going on what I should be doing and not just being in the moment.
Of course, we all know that everyone's different, but a lot of the time, especially with stigma, people put people with autism in a box that they are autistic and that's that. But there's so much more than that. That's just a blip in their lifetime. They have so much more to offer. The ratio of boys to girls at the clinics that I have worked at, by far, 90% are male and the other % are female. I
get sensory overloads quite a bit, especially at grocery stores or anywhere with loud noises or lots of things going on. It really just kind of feels like you have like a glass dome over your head and you can kind of hear things and see things from a blurred lens, but everything's very overwhelming and you just want to sit down and breathe for a few seconds. The process of getting diagnosed was, it's kind of a long story really where it started. I was in a relationship with someone, and once we broke up, I kind of realized something was not wrong with me, but I just wasn't the way that I thought I was, and that kind of initially sent me to go to therapy. And then my therapist said maybe I might be autistic, and so I went to a autism diagnosis place, and there was a lot of questions they asked. I mean, the biggest one for me was the sensory thing, but yeah, they asked a bunch of questions. I had to go in multiple times, and they needed references from like my mom and my dad and just everything like that.
I think boys are diagnosed with autism more often than girls because the symptoms do present a little differently, and some of the behaviors that we praise girls for having over boys, they're overlooked. If a girl is quiet or shy, that's it. If she's quiet, she's shy. I've seen a lot of times parents don't explore, well, maybe there could be something else going on because, it is a spectrum, and, someone doesn't have to be completely nonverbal to be autistic. But I would definitely say just because you met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. You have not met everyone, because everyone with autism spectrum disorder is completely different.
Autism doesn't define you. I have it and it doesn't stop me.